you're going to be less and less able to repair these bumpers than you ever were before, and they're going to need to be replaced more often. And there's even more that goes into it than that.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Airing of Grievances. My name is Reamer, and that's Robert Grieve, and we are, as always, thankful that you have taken the time out of your day to join us for ours. And today we've got a good one for you, but before we get into it, it's our custom here to first greet those who have joined us for the very first time. Welcome.
Thank you.
And second of all, to thank those who come week after week. We're
love you guys.
Beyond 2 years with this series, and we are so thankful for you as well. All right, Rob, happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday to you. Before we get started, I got to give a little shout out.
Yeah, what's that?
To my friend that gave me this "Don't be a dumb butt" mug. I may or may not have used that phrase in another video. You'll have to watch them all to see if I did or not.
There you go. We made it easy for you. There's a playlist that is the Airing of Grievance playlist. You can go check that out after we're done here. Rob, let's break into this one by saying that the information that we're going to convey today is relevant to pretty much every single one of you. If you have a car, especially if you have a newer model car, it's going to be one of those things that we have to have this conversation.
Yeah, this is going to be important.
And it requires action on your part.
As always.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about advancements in blind spot monitoring technology. It's growing
3 times fast.
Yeah, it's growing fast.
Yeah.
And these are critical things that are working inside your vehicle and making things happen regardless of you interacting with it. They need to be repaired properly and safely. There's some huge advancements to this technology, and there's some critical information we're going to share with you today for consumers and shops that are watching.
Yep.
Some of this just came to my attention. Some of it I've been researching. Some of it is we're already seeing the cars.
Well, and you've been saying a lot of the things that we're going to say again today for a very long time, but it's being now reinforced with new both technological advances and notifications that are coming out over the wires.
Yes, and we need to pay attention to those things. So if you could, watch to the end, because there's a lot of critical information for you and ways that you can make sure that you're taking your vehicle to the right place that's going to return it to its pre-loss condition and make it function as designed.
You keep using that word "and."
Yeah,
you didn't get it out of your system last week?
Yeah, apparently not.
All right.
You just won't believe the implications of what's coming down the pike and is really already here on the ground.
Now, blind spot monitoring is part of the ADAS, the Advanced Driver Assist Systems, that's happening in your vehicles if you've bought anything from 2016 and beyond, probably. And you got to be aware of this stuff. But again, they're moving the cheese. They're changing the game. They're
cheese has been moved.
They're increasing the complexity.
It's been moved in a big way.
Yeah.
So just throw this picture up there.
Yep.
Many people feel as though the blind spot monitor is in the mirror.
Well, you see that little thing.
That's the notification place.
Oh.
And some cars have different notification places. I was in a car recently, and there's a light on the window pillar by the windshield that would blink if there was somebody in your blind spot.
All right.
Different vehicle manufacturers, different year makes, models, different packages of equipment are all going to make these things just a little bit different. The blind spot is not in your mirror unless they're using a camera like the 360 camera as the blind spot, which some manufacturers may use that technology.
I see.
Generally speaking, you'll find the blind spot, this box right there, under the rear bumper on the quarter panel on both sides.
Got it. It's that black square there.
Yep, that black box. That's the blind spot monitor that is talking to computers that are sending messages to the mirror so you can see the little thing.
I was having a conversation with your son, and Greg mentioned to me that there is one model of Lexus that is using a blind spot monitor on the front side as well.
In addition to.
In addition to.
So we're going to go right to that picture.
Oh.
This is a 2023 Lexus NX.
Yep.
And you'll see it has the blind spot technology in the front of the vehicle as well as the rear of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. That looks almost identical to that.
Sure.
However, they're not the same.
Okay.
In the newer vehicles, they are... Let's talk about the older vehicles first. So 2021, some 2022 back that have blind spot monitoring are using the one that's on the rear of this red car.
Yes.
That is a 24 gigahertz radar.
Okay.
And as I understand it, the 24 gigahertz radar is basically meant to see if a tank is driving by you. Or maybe not that big, but some large object.
Let me ask you this.
Is in the beam range.
Does a 1980 Chevy Monza work in that regard? I call that my tank.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's looking for big objects that are in your blind spot, and it will alert you.
Yeah.
But the newer technology, like on this 23, the front and the rear on both sides are all 77 gigahertz. They are far more powerful, 3 times as powerful. And why are they doing this? We're worried about the pedestrians, children, smaller objects, and these sensors are far more accurate and more delicate and require different procedures.
Okay.
So it's not like your regular everyday blind spot monitor. These are very precise.
I can imagine, and we may address this as we continue our conversation, but I can imagine that even the slightest tap, if you were to run into a pole or something like that on the front end or the back end, would potentially put these things out of sync and out of alignment.
Depending on how and where they got hit, absolutely.
All right.
I mean, they clearly say in every procedure that you read, don't drop the monitor. So if dropping the monitor would make it inoperable, how much of a crash in that area would it take?
Taking the equivalent of a baseball bat to it is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay.
So looking up repair procedures has never been more important. Before we get to that, we saw a video from NHTSA that gave us a little demonstration of the blind spot monitor lighting up in the mirror and the vehicle correcting itself.
That's right. NHTSA is the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, and here's that video that we're looking at to kind of show you what Rob's talking about.
Yeah, and you'll see the car coming up on in the blind spot. You'll see the light start flashing.
Yep.
You'll see the car correct itself, and these blind spot monitors, really, they were for alerting you originally, and today they may control steering.
Right.
They may control automatic emergency braking.
Right.
They control cross-track. So if somebody's coming, you're backing out of a parking spot, somebody's coming up the alley.
Yep.
They're going to alert, maybe engage the brakes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technology going into these things.
You bet.
Toyota recently came out with a newer crib, Bulletin 201, collision repair information bulletin.
Yep.
And it's basically, hey, this is going on, and this is the kind of the scenario. Look here for more information.
Okay.
And this one is titled Bumper Repair Precautions for 77 Gigahertz Radar. So there's some repair implications that for bumper covers,
right,
which are the most widely replaced parts on a vehicle.
It's a common place for accidents, both front and back.
Right. You're going to be less and less able to repair these bumpers than you ever were before, and they're going to need to be replaced more often. And there's even more that goes into it than that. So they have the special precautions. Special precautions need to be followed for bumper cover repairs on any vehicle equipped with blind spot monitor and or front side radar technology. That's the same for 24 gigahertz as well.
Gotcha.
But it's even more critical for the 77 gigahertz. The sensors behind the bumpers work by radiating radar waves to detect vehicles behind as well as adjacent lanes to determine approaching vehicle distance and velocity, how fast it's going.
Right.
And some of the items that they warn you about here is, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Aluminum pigment included in manufacturers' paint formulas may impact the detection performance of a blind spot monitor and front side radar sensors. Always mix colors according to the paint manufacturer's blend data paint formula for paint catering to 77 gigahertz radar. We're going to get into that in just a minute.
Okay.
But what they're talking about here, this aluminum pigment, we're all used to seeing metallics.
Sure.
And at the factory, when they spray these, their technology, in one pass by the robot, what takes them one pass takes us 3. So we're putting more film build on the bumper than the factory is.
Okay.
And the metallics that they use is not a problem for the factory because they have a minimal film build. But when you get your car repaired, we don't have that technology, and it would take us more coats to achieve that same color.
All right.
And if you're putting more coats of metallic on there, that can distort the radar, especially this 77 gigahertz. So we're going to get to that more in a second because it gets really interesting from there. It also goes on to say technicians must also perform a self-diagnosis function following bumper repairs using the check reflection power procedure found in the repair manual for the vehicle. This will detect a signal difference between the rear bumper assembly when removing and installed, shown in the hint section of the repair manual. You have to do a power test if you repair the bumper. So while the bumper's on the car, the damaged bumper, you have to take it, and it's basically a calibration. You're checking the power of the radar.
Of the signal.
Yeah, the signal. Then you take the bumper off the car and you do it again to check the power.
Okay.
Then when the bumper is, if it gets repaired or replaced, goes back on the car, now you do another power test to verify you haven't lost any signal by painting it. Because sometimes colors don't come out just right, and sometimes we paint it with a different formula than we should. Not us. Not us.
Thank you for
but it does
clarifying
happen.
that pronoun. Yeah. Our name is Nylund, and our pronouns are done correctly.
Yeah. This is one way that the factory can make sure that the car is leaving and operating as it's supposed to.
You know what?
But it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of technology, and you have to have the right equipment, and there's a lot going into it.
One of the things that I noticed about that paragraph is that it referenced the repair manual. And interestingly enough, we have covered this a number of times throughout the last few years. Not all body shops go to the repair manuals.
Yeah.
And there are some people who intentionally avoid the repair manuals as a matter of pride in, I've been doing this for so many years. And
Everybody's doing it 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Everybody's been in the industry for 30 years.
Right.
I'm 40, by the way.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
So anyway, the last little note that they make here is do not install anything other than a genuine bumper assembly, meaning no aftermarket.
Is it a suggestion or is it a do not?
Do not install anything, insert aftermarket, other than a genuine bumper assembly. We don't know the thickness of an aftermarket bumper. We do not know what material it's made out of, how it may reflect or not reflect
What we do know is,
the radar.
by definition, it is not identical
It's not.
to the original equipment manufacturer.
Yeah. So even the paint manufacturers have weighed in on the use of OEM or manufacturer repair procedures. Here's a bulletin from them, right there.
Yep.
And it says, always make sure to follow the manufacturer's guidelines for repairing vehicles equipped with radar. Well, you should do it whether it's got radar or not.
Right.
It is also important to follow the manufacturer's guidelines for testing the correct operation of radar and or any other ADAS before returning the repaired vehicle to service or to the consumer.
Well, the paint manufacturer is jumping in on this.
Yeah.
That reinforces, it was true to start with, but now it's a reinforced truth.
Yeah. So
Wow.
this is an important thing for them, and let me tell you why. They say that approximately 25% of all new cars and light trucks are painted in metallic colors. Metallic colors are the ones that are going to give us, heartburn
Sure.
with the radars because of that metallic that's in it.
There's real metal in it.
Yeah, there's real metal. Some of it's aluminum. Some of it's metal. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we looked up one particular paint code, which is a Toyota color 4Y3,
Yeah.
and you'll see that there's two formulas for it. Same color, two formulas.
Huh.
One is your regular one, the EHPM,
Okay.
and then right underneath there is EHPM radar. What the paint manufacturers have had to do is redevelop the formulas for the paint to either remove or replace the metallics that are in these particular colors. And this is not just Lexus and Toyota, this is Audi and BMW and Mercedes. Everybody's having the same thing.
Yep.
And no matter what car it is, from 23 up, you're going to probably land up having to do these power tests, which is going to require special equipment and special knowledge. And so as a consumer, you're going to make sure your shop that you chose has that equipment and has the wherewithal, education-wise and equipment-wise, to get it done.
And make sure that they put it on your estimate.
That's how you'll know.
And that the insurer covers it, because it is a critical piece now.
Yeah. So here we have two formulas for the same color.
Yep.
And this, from a body shop standpoint, this can create some problems in that we call bumper cover, if it were just replacing a bumper cover, we call them loose parts. Loose parts that have to be painted go to the paint department with guest name and RO number generally, so they know what it's for.
RO stands for repair order.
Repair order, yes, thank you. And they get painted.
Yeah.
The car doesn't go there, just the part.
Okay.
Whether it's getting repaired or whether it's a replacement part.
Sure.
How does the painter know which of these formulas to use?
They have to be told by way of the
Some way.
procedure manual or the technician who's on the car.
There has to be some new communication stream, because paint, the saying used to be paint doesn't kill anybody. It's kind of evolving, and the paint manufacturers are caught up in the middle of it. They have to adjust their stuff so that it works with these things.
Sure.
It's a mess. It's a mess. So interestingly enough, one of the differences between these two colors,
Yeah.
even though it's the same color, is the price. The radar formula is almost 3 times more expensive than the regular formula.
Really?
But they have to remove the metallic and replace it with something, and that something is, in this particular case, is a pearl. Pearls are incredibly expensive.
Let's see.
So some of the formulas that we use when writing estimates, labor hours times a dollar amount to come up with what the paint materials should be,
Right.
they're useless at this point. Then we have the power test.
The power test.
That has to be done at the end to verify the system is operating as designed. You have a full strength signal. It gives you how much. So let's just say the painter wasn't communicated with. He used the regular everyday formula. We know it has this stuff on the car, these radars on the car. We send it to get the power test. Power test fails. Now you either need to strip the bumper and start over or get another bumper. Or some unscrupulous shops might just leave it and send you on down the road. And whether the system's going to work as designed or not, we don't know.
That becomes your problem, and
Yeah.
it's a big problem to have.
Yeah. So you want to see power tests. You want to see a bunch of stuff on your estimate
Yep.
that talks about these things. And if you don't, you probably have your vehicle at the wrong spot.
There you go.
So that's what I got for today.
That's heavy, and I just want to remind you, if you made it this far into the video, first of all, thank you so much. Don't forget to click the thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, we would love to have you as a subscriber to the channel. But second of all, it indicates to us that you're interested in these things enough, perhaps to share this with, again, this is today's news happening, and it's been happening for a little while, and it's going to only get more and more impactful in the marketplace. If you need to find a good quality shop, I put a link right up here to a video that will give you some guidance on what to look for, the questions to ask, and so on. And you can also find a blog post down in the description box that helps. And finally, here's our phone number. If you have any questions,
Call me.
anywhere in the country, if you have any questions, go ahead and give Rob a call. He'll point you in the right direction or do his best to answer your question. Rob, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
you for not being a dumb butt.
Yeah.
We appreciate you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you. Thank you so very, very much. Hope you found this valuable. I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. Thanks for tuning in.